Good afternoon, YouTube. Old Trusty here again today for another terrible tutorial. Some people have asked for it. I don't know why anyone would, besides the ridiculous rates, but today we're gonna go through a block by block tutorial of how to build shroomlights. 4,300 of them an hour. Look at her go. Let's get started. Of course, we're gonna be at world height. Because, well, you know, that's the best place to get the rates for these sweet, sweet shroomlights. So let's just go down. To start this whole thing off, we're gonna... your mycelium, the place where you're gonna plant your fungus. Your terrible fungus that you're gonna go through 100 of an hour. 100 stacks, I should say, not 100 of these. So, a lot. A lot. You're gonna go through about 7,000 of these things an hour. When you're planting, when you stand on top of it, it needs to in fact be at layer 303. I've ran tests with 302, with 304. This is the sweet spot. Rates go down. If you build this farm, and I sometimes question why you would want to, you will make 4,300 shroomlights an hour, 138 stacks of stems an hour, and enough wart blocks to fill up 2 double chests in less than 10 minutes. Or you can compost it. I didn't even bother composting at this point. I'm spending 22,000 bone meal an hour. I don't even care anymore. You're going to need a fish farm. And if you're going to build this without a fish farm, why? This is the meta farm. This is the farm that needs a fish farm, a fungus farm, a gunpowder farm, and some kind of getting a lot of sand, because you're going to go through like almost 20 stacks of TNT an hour running this. Ugh. Let's get to it. So, layer 303. We're going to start, of course, by pick a site. It really doesn't matter. And we're going to build Groova Guy's netherrack regeneration system. It could be argued that there are better ways to do this, and I would be inclined to agree. But I would also be inclined to say that I like sticking with what I know. And this I know. And what we're going to have here, if you haven't watched my videos before, and if you haven't, I don't know why you would start with this one. It really would make no sense to me, but I digress. In that nylium, an observer 2 blocks out, a dispenser underneath it, and then you're going to have a comparator. We'll get to this. Then you need a dropper. I installed the dropper there, not a dispenser. Bad Rusty. Alright. And we're just going to go and put a dispenser there. Here we have a dropper. And we're going to loop around 3 hoppers. As such. Toss in 1 item. It doesn't matter. Into that dropper. If you have 2 items, it's not going to go well for you. So don't do it. Nope. And right here. And then we're going to redstone this signal down, and we're gonna go and we're gonna put a nylium right here. Yep. So this is the regeneration system. Once you load this with bone meal, and we'll do this real quick, not coral, I want bone meal. Anytime that this, and it will happen sooner or later, actually quite a bit for this farm, you want this to regenerate. All right, we're good. So this is the core of our farm in which we will base everything around at 303. If you don't have this part right here, the rest of this farm is completely irrelevant. And now we're going to go into some fun stuff. So coming out this way, never put a piston going this way. This observer will activate it. Things will get weird. 2 blocks back, you want to drop a sticky piston. And then you're going to want to drop a dispenser here. You can throw down some glass right here. A temporary block, it doesn't matter. And another dispenser. And another dispenser. And because we're going to do this, I'm going to go all the way with this. 4 dispensers. In total. Like this. And the rest of this only gets more convoluted as we go. So, The way that you're going to plant when you have a stem right here is you're actually going to stand underneath these blocks, crouch with a fungus, and then as this piston moves this dispenser, you will in fact plant through the moving dispenser for some reason, and that's how you're going to grow. All right, we're going to build this up a little bit. We're going to come back to this area in a minute, and if you don't hate it yet, I promise you're going to. So, what we're also going to do is we are going to take signal detection from up here on the third layer. So every time a stem grows, we're going to pick it up, and we're going to be able to do something with that. Now, this is where we're going to get into kind of why I didn't want to build this farm and show how. Okay, well, let's just go over this. So what we're going to do is you're going to have a glass block here. This has to be a glass block. Not any other kind of block. It has to be a glass block that you can stick a lever on so that you can sit here and power this space right here, but not anything else around it. And this is important because if you have this as a solid block, it's going to pass the signal down here. It's going to mess with the dispenser clocks. We're going to have a whole lot going on in this core for triggering the dispensers and triggering the system to activate, and none of it can interfere with each other. So this really matters. Glass and then repeater on one tick. But the repeater has to be on top of a solid block. And then over here on this other glass block, you have to have a redstone dust. It has to be a glass. So glass with lever, solid block with repeater, glass block with redstone. And what that does is that's going to pass this signal every time. And nothing else. Because we don't want anything else. Now, here, you're going to do this. Solid block. And let's just get this part out of the way. You're going to put a hopper going into the front. You're going to put a hopper here. And then another hopper. Nope, I'm sorry. Like this. And you are going to feed these two dispensers from this side. On this side, you're going to have a hopper here, hopper here, another hopper here, and then you're going to feed this over this way. And then we'll go back to this. Now, on this side here, another solid block. And what you're going to do is put down a repeater on 2 ticks on this solid block, this hopper, and this hopper. So that whenever a stem grows, it's going to do that. And it's going to power all 3 of these repeaters. This is critical. Now, if you pay attention, this block stream is going to go this way. You want to take yourself a normal piston and stick it right here. Because we're going to send this stem this way. From this point, let's just get this out of the way. You're going to pillar up with glass to world height. And then all you're going to do is pick a side, and you're going to go, this is layer 4 because this is layer 3. And what you don't, and you're just going to put up a 10 pistons high all the way up. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. You're going to go run this around. And this is how we are going to move out our 4 corner spaces for shroomlights at, from what I can guess, anywhere between 1.5 to 2 trees a second. Clearing these spaces at an absolutely absurd bone meal cost, but it's going to sit here and let us grow everything. So we're going to do this. Now, let's come down here again. Behind here where this sticky piston is, go ahead and throw in a dropper. And you're going to want to put a solid block here. I already messed this up. You want a solid block here. Not a hopper. You're going to want to put another hopper right here. If you expect me to go back and edit this, I don't know what channel you're watching. There we go. That's how we want this. We need a solid block here and a solid block here. On this solid block, put a redstone dust. And underneath that, you're going to have a redstone torch. Right there and right there. This redstone torch will energize this solid block and will fire this piston, this dispenser off on this side. This redstone torch will energize this one and this one. And, I mean, this center one's getting triggered by both, but it doesn't matter. You have to have this redstone dust here so it powers this solid block that will then go and power this dispenser right here. There is no other way to get this in. And what you do from here is you're going to run out and off to this side far enough away so that you can set up a comparator clock. And this is all we're going to do is turn that on, loop the redstone dust around. Oh, nope, see, I messed up here. Because what you need this redstone line to do is that. So we're going to bring this back one more. And that is now powering all these dispensers. Now, yes, these hoppers are going to be locked. So when you're loading bone meal into this thing, this actually needs to be running. So we have now built our comparator clock triggering system for our dispensers. We have built our detection system here. So it will power, oh, wrong one, up here, so that it will power this every time we get a growth. So the easiest thing to do at this point, on all these pistons, go around and starting at the bottom, place a solid block. Why did I build this? I don't know. I have a problem with shroomlights, but I think I'm over it. And I'm doing this because, well, this is the best one I've seen so far, although I'm not going to lie, there has been some really good farms cooking on the Huge Fungi Discord later. Like, if you ever want to join a nice Discord just to talk about nether trees, Huge Fungi Huggers, it's ran by Insialier. It's a Java, well, he plays Java. Most of the people there play Javas, but there's some Bedrock people on there, and, you know, we get that same level of enthusiasm for these trees as everybody else, and there's a lot of back and forth. There's a lot of good info on there. I don't know if you've heard about toxic discords before on Java Edition. Sir, you certainly heard about some on Bedrock, but that is nice to say it is not one of them. Like, I showed up there just asking questions about shroomlights, and besides the fact that they said, well, you know, we don't play Bedrock, they were super helpful for figuring all this out. And, well, now there's some others of us on there, and we're all talking about shroomlights on different editions and just trying to figure this out. And right now, I'm at 4,300. And I imagine I'm going to get beat out there soon on that, but they got some crazy stuff going on. If you want to go hop on, look up Insialier, and then you'll find his Discord on his page. So again, we have all these solid blocks here, and then we're glass elevatoring it up. Remember to go around, and wherever you have redstone running up a glass elevator, put a final piece of glass right up on top here. Because otherwise you will have a wart, block will grow in, it will cut your redstone signal, and you're going to wonder, why is my farm not working? And from here, we're going to start on this one. And all we're going to do is come out like this so that we can toss some dust down. Actually, you know what? I'm wrong. You're going to put a solid block right here, and you're going to put some dust on top of it. Now from here, before we get everything wired up, I'm going to go ahead and put a solid block in here so we can trace this signal. And you want to verify that in fact you get all 10 of these pistons firing off. So we're good. Now next, we're going to come over here and we're going to do the same thing with this one. I suggest running glass, because the less redstone you have running around, the better off you are. Now be mindful of this. This will be solid blocks here. It will cut off your redstone signal. So by doing it this way, come out, come over, come up. Now, I'm energized here, but oh wait, I didn't pay attention. And now I'm not. So what you want to do is come out one more, come over, and then come up vertically this way, so these blocks will just scroll on by. And if you notice, I don't have enough. There's going to be a lot of this. So what you could do right here, put a solid block. And you still don't get enough. This is why we do this. We have to play around with this. How can we get this signal up? I could probably just do this. You're going to want to take your time and work this all around. There we go. Let's get rid of these. We don't need that there. So if you look, all this going up. We're good. Next, we're going to come over here. And we're going to do this one. Same thing. You want to make sure all 10 are firing off. And they are. Nothing's going to come this way that's going to block it. At the same time, you're going to want to do this. Because keep in mind this one. You're going to run dust along here, on top of your dropper, and then out this way. This dropper ultimately is going to feed you fungus, so that you keep planting. Now, here I already made a mistake. On these, when you're looking at it from the side where the signal's coming out, where the 3 dispensers are, you can do this kind of straight out pattern. On this last one, you can't. So, if you didn't get that far in the video, I apologize. I'm not going to go back to edit it. It has to work out this way, and I'm going to show you why. Because what we're going to do, we're going to work this signal around, and then things are going to get kind of weird. And by that, I mean, so we bring it out here. Nope. We want to keep elevatoring this thing up. So we're going to go here, and then here. And we're going to elevator this up. And if you notice, I don't have enough redstone signal. And you never will. These 2 pistons are never going to get energized this way. If you don't even have these facing this exact setup right here, you won't even get these first 8. So what you do here, and the reason why we ran everything else the way that we did, is we're going to work this last one over. Right there. And so this far side one, the top 2 are powered by the crossover, which is why we have this solid block and we elevator it up. And on this side, by having the glass go this way instead of straight out like the rest, it gives us just enough to get those 8. And this is the core of the farm, essentially done. From here, what you're going to want to do is make sure that you've got glass here and here, also here, and just go ahead and fill this whole thing in by a 5x5 at the minimum. Or you can go out to 9x9, however you want, and you want to leave this wart free so that you can sit here, and if for some reason you're having trouble, oh, this stuff isn't firing correctly, I can just come up top and look straight down. It helps a lot when you're first getting this aggravating thing together. So let's just class this in real quick. Why do I do this to myself? Why do I like this block so much? You want this at 319, because otherwise you'll have stuff grow on top. The wart will not grow above 319. But don't worry, in this build, we're going all the way to 320 because we haven't even started yet. And this is it. This is the core of the farm is done. You literally stand right here under this dropper with that rolling. The only thing left to do is we got to get this solid block out. And that's when you put a glass down so that you're not locking more than you have to. And that's it. And the whole farm will fire off. Oh, look. I made a mistake. Please, please test this before you get too far into it. Because if you're one block off... Alright, we're good. If you are one block off, you're going to break some dust. You've got so much crammed in here between the hoppers. We'll get back to the hoppers here in a little bit. But you've got so much stuff crammed in this tiny little space that it can be a problem. The last thing you're going to do... And again, look at this. Look at everything we have going on right here. This is nuts. Moving on. This is the core of the farm done. From here, you can either build out more and then work it in, which is generally good, but ultimately you're going to either have two separate bone meal sources, or you can loop these hoppers around like this. Like here and here, so they both feed off in different directions. Nope, not that. And then throw yourself, this is what I suggest you do, throw yourself a chest right down here. And feed this chest with bone meal. I would suggest an auto crafter spitting straight into it. This will go through a shulker of bone blocks an hour. This will feed all of your dispensers evenly, which you're going to need. And this is the core of the farm done. Every time it activates, it's going to send that whole thing. It's also going to go and trigger your pistons to push the blocks out, and this dropper right here will also get triggered and give you fungus, which you desperately need because you are going to go through a lot of it. So let's just, right here, take a look. And there's a fungus. This is the core of the farm done. Now from here, we're going to do two things. One is you have to build 4 blast chambers, and you also have to handle the streams. I'm going to go over this, one of the blast chambers, and how to do it. So, count out, pick a side, count out 13, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13. This is the push limit for this farm. Because if I go and again, check it. Test it while you're building it. Make sure. Yep, it didn't move. Break a block. Make sure you don't have too many. Double check this to get it right. And it did. So this is the extent where this will clear. Go out to this very end and take yourself some observers. Start at the bottom and you're going to go up by 10. Do this for all of them. You can get rid of these blocks now that you have it counted. On every single side, count out by the same amount. Double check that you have it right, and then drop some observers. On the backs of those observers, you're going to put some solid blocks. Oh, see, I'm already messing something up here. I had one too many. On the back of those observers, we're going to do, guess what? More glass. Why glass? Because glass lets you move it up and down. Now, the one good thing about over here is you don't have to worry so much about wart growing. Although, while I'm thinking about that, this will get messed up. Put that here. Put that there. Anywhere that you're moving up. Oh, here. Here. These will get cut off. So wherever you're moving up or down with this glass, with this redstone, put a block of glass on top. From there. And you're going to do this 4 times. Because I'm not going to build 4 blast chambers right now. And if you really want to build this farm, you don't want me to. And then you're going to come over here with the temporary block. Take yourself a piston. And you're going to put down 3 pistons facing forward. You're going to put down a solid block. And then you're going to put down another 2 pistons. And then from here, you're going to take this all the way up by 10. So each blast chamber will have 50 pistons in it. And the reason why we're doing these 50 pistons is this is going to turn our TNT usage from something that's absolutely insane to something that's more reasonably insane of only 18.5 stacks an hour. I tried more pistons, but it's really diminishing returns, and when you build this whole thing out, and we're going to get to the worst part here in a little bit, you're going to find out you don't have a lot of room to work. And this seems to be good. Now, I'm using crying obsidian. You can use regular obsidian. I'm just using it because it's a little bit easier to tell the difference. You're going to have a block gap between this observer and your first piece of obsidian. You're going to come down, and you are going to line how these blocks are going to feed through all the way around with obsidian. Or crying, whichever one you want to go with. I guess if you're going to mine the end island down, it'll be obsidian. But if you have a bartering farm, crying, you'll get more. And then also right here, because we want to throw in as much protection from this TNT we're going to be dropping as possible. So you're going to end up with this. After that, grab yourself some packed ice. Not ice. I mean, I guess you could use blue ice if you want, but packed ice. And you're going to come out 8. 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. And you're going to, this whole thing is going to be 6 wide. This is how we're going to get our items out after we explode them with some TNT. Then you're going to come down 1 level and come out by 3. And again, you're going to fill this in. And then you're going to line this whole thing with obsidian. Or crying obsidian. Or, I guess, ancient debris if you have a lot of it and you want to waste that netherite on this. That's fine too. But you're going to come out. You're going to make this all sealed in. And then you're going to do something with water. And up top here, every one of these sources is going to be waterlogged. And it's going to flow right to the edge right there. And in this corner right here, you're going to put 1 source of water. And it's going to do that. Now from there, you're going to fill in all of this with obsidian. Or crying obsidian. 28 stacks in total. And you're going to cover all these other sides with it. You're going to fill this in. So that none of your items are going to escape. I'm not going to do that. I will spare you this. Now, at this point, this is the chamber done. And now we're going to figure out where we're going to put our TNT. And what you're going to do is come here, well, this, at the very edge of this block 8, where you have that gap in your pistons. And you are going to put a piece of obsidian right here. 1 block above the flowing water. You're going to come back 2. And you're going to go up by 5. 2, 3, 4, 5. I'm sorry. 6. And this is the very bottom where your TNT is going to drop and blow out your layers 1 through 5. This one is at layer 6. The TNT is going to hit here. Yep. So this is 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Yep. Double check this. This is where you're going to drop your obsidian here and here. Now to trigger all of that, you're going to come out here. And you're going to just hop up one. And you are going to create an enclosure directly over all of these drop chutes here. You're going to do this. What you're going to end up with is you're going to look at something like this. A figure 8. Put a dispenser here and a dispenser here, and then line this all with more obsidian, because I have found that very occasionally the TNT will in fact destroy your dispensers that are going to be loaded with it, and you don't want that. Make sure that you fill this in, fill this in. You're going to come out here, 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 and here. And also, extra safe. Now what you're going to do from here, we're going to come over to this observer. Oh, you know what? I forgot to wire these pistons up. So let's do this next. So this piston wiring is really easy. You're going to have solid blocks again every other row, counting up, starting from the bottom. Cover all of it in redstone. There's a lot of redstone. There's a lot of pistons. It's a lot of materials. If you want a more sane thing to do, don't build this. Build something else. And you're going to do this. And we're going to glass it. Our signal's up. And on this third one right here, you're going to come out like this. Take yourself a repeater. That repeater is going to be on 1 tick. You're going to have another repeater on 3 ticks feeding into it. Like this. Get rid of that glass. There you go. This is all wired up. So every time this block stream goes and gets pushed all the way to these observers, this will happen. And that's what we want. Now from here, you're going to take solid block or glass, it doesn't matter on this one, and you're going to run it over here. And you're going to have a redstone dust. Then, this is the cool part. A copper bulb, waxed, preferably, and a comparator. And then another copper bulb, and you're going to come over more with another comparator, and then you're going to redstone dust it up. Here, behind these dispensers going into this solid obsidian, you're going to have a copper bulb, or a comparator, and a copper bulb. And you are going to work right here. And you're going to come up here and splash it on the top like that. Now, what this is going to do is every time the observer triggers, it's going to fire the first copper bulb will ignite. The second time, the next one will ignite. Now, because these observers are getting double ticked, it's going to flash on and off. The way this will work with all of these bulbs, these 2 in series and these last 3 in parallel, is every 4 times this triggers, it's going to work the signal over. And the next time it does it, it's going to change the state of these 2. Let's keep going. There we go. Now, at that point, both of these dispensers would have ejected TNT, which is okay. But here's the other thing. Let's get it reset. There we go. This is going to cause you two issues. When you sit here and you shoot out TNT in each one of these dispensers. I'll show you. First off, apparently, even though TNT has a 100% drop rate, when you explode blocks with TNT and you have two going off, there's a tick or two there where they can, in fact, the TNT explosion can damage the ones that just got dropped. So by dropping two at the same time, we're actually going to lose items. It's also going to cause a larger influx of all the block items dropping out and flushing into our filtering system with this. The reason I have it set up like this is the one thing we're missing is the offset. Take yourself a button, any button, and on the one further away, put it on there and turn it on. There we go. Now, every time this system fires, the first tick that would cause these bulbs to go on, this will shut off, this will go on and trigger this dispenser. The very next time they get flashed, this will shut off, this will turn on, and will dispense it. You have this block forward more because the way it's timed is the lower one is always going to explode first, and then the upper one will go and knock out the top block stream, and they're not going to get caught on the lower one. And that's basically it. And then, of course, go and fill this entire blast chamber up with obsidian. Now, you're going to build this thing 3 more times on all the other sides. And then we're going to get to the worst part of this build, besides item management, which I'm going to leave to you. I would suggest for items what you do. What I did in my survival world was I just came out here, and I set up an ice flow, not necessarily with crying obsidian. And then I had it all swooshing around the entire farm, which, granted, is going to get kind of big, with a single ice flow and the item filters, because you're going to need at least, if you want to capture everything, you're going to need at least 1 filter dedicated for shroomlights, 2 filters dedicated for stems, and 3 or 4 filters dedicated for wort. I just had everything but shroomlights and stems going straight into a cactus, because I just want lights. I digress. So you're going to build this, you're going to fill this in. You can get rid of some of these extra blocks like that one. This is all going to be solid and compact except this side. Except for, and I'm going to show you this now, this is the worst part of the build. This is the absolute thing that I dread. So let's just go ahead and pick the right kind of block. This is going to handle all those warts and stems from these 4 positions really easily. It's going to go through it. You're going to expend 18.5 TNT an hour, and you're not going to have any backup. The problem that we come up with here is this part. You're going to have this coming out this way, and you're going to have this one coming out this way. And here's my problem. What do you do with this stem? I'm blowing this thing up once every, really about 30 growths. You see my problem? Right there. These stems are the worst part of this entire build, because we have to do something with them without sacrificing all that TNT. And what you're going to do is you're going to take them to the right. Both times. So the blasting chamber, when you're sitting here facing away from your core, they're going to go to the blasting chamber on the right. And what that means is we have to go and get these solid. And I'm going to show you how. We are going to harvest 9 layers of these. And this is the worst part of this build. you're going to come out 3. On that third space out, you're going to put a piston. And you're going to go up by 9. Not 10. You might think 10 because we're harvesting 10, but 10 and this whole thing is going to get gummed up at the top and they're not all going to clear out. So you want to come up 9 on this, and all the rest of this is going to be filled in. So on 2 of your chambers, this is all going to be solid obsidian. And on your other 2 chambers, you're going to be pushing in stem blocks to the side. So I'm going to show you this way. And the easiest way to do this is, first off, just come here and you're going to set up a glass elevator. And this is all going to make sense why this is so aggravating in a second, because this farm moves so fast, you have to actually take special care to get these stems congregated into a block stream that will not at the same time break the farm. And it is aggravating. And so what you're going to do is, on this second row of pistons here, you're going to come out and you're going to have a little setup like this. And you're going to drop a redstone torch and a repeater. And you're going to put a redstone dust on the other side. At the very top of this right here, put a glass. And that's it. So that as you push stuff in here, and it finally makes its way to the top one, it will all fire off and feed these in. From here, and you want to build this first, you're going to come down by 2. You're going to have a piston right here, facing up. And you're going to have it like this. A block. You're going to drop a redstone torch, a repeater, and a dust. And this is where the aggravation is. That's going to push it up. Now here's the problem. Normally, if I was going to sit here and do a smart piston, I would have a redstone torch, I'd have my piston right here, and I would just do this. Redstone dust. And then as it got pushed in here, oh, nope. Redstone dust. And then as my stem grew, and it would push it forward. This far moves so fast that it's not always going to catch it, and it's going to sit here and break this dust. Who cares? What does that mean? Well, what that means is you can only manipulate, in order to manipulate this block stream, you have to stop it with a piece of obsidian. And in order to do that in a way that you can move it, you can only maneuver this thing by changing its axis, which is another fancy way of saying that I can't push it to the left or right here because the farm will break, so the only thing I can do is push it up or down. Well, if I push it up, I'm going to start hitting my other block stream, so you have to push it down. Okay, that's not that bad, right? It is. Because then what we have to do here, and again, this isn't that hard to do, we'll put a redstone dust. There you go. So now, this is a smart piston, and it will always sit there as this gets fed out, hit here, stop, and get pushed down. But now we have to change it again. we have to move it more directions because we need to get it ultimately here. Well, how do we do that? So now we're coming down. So we're going to install another obsidian. And you have to put in another piston. And then you have to have another setup like this, with another redstone torch, another repeater, and we're good now. And then you have to work this around. I spent an hour doing this. Make sure it's lined up with that hopper. Because again, I can't just push it that way. I have to orient it again, which means I have to push it up. Which is fine, but this is the most aggravating part of this build. If you're still here listening to me monologue, my hat's off to you, because I don't know. Do you really want shroomlights this bad? At this point, you do. So, we're going to do that. And you are going to go until it lines up right here. Which means here, we're going to have another piston, another piece of obsidian above it. And guess what we're going to do again? You guessed it, and except you're going to start getting cramped on this side. So we're going to do it here. Drop a redstone torch. Drop a repeater. Redstone this in the back. And so now, as we grow, and we push out our stem, it comes here. And yes, you will be growing this fast. It's going to feed this in here, slowly but surely. And then eventually your TNT is going to detonate. Let's keep it going. You will in fact be planting. You are going to be planting this fast. It is going to grow this fast. That's why we have to do this, and we have to use obsidian to stop it. And it's going to just keep feeding this in here, and then explode with the TNT and run into our collection system. You have to do it over here, this stream, and then the worst one is over here, where you have even less space, and you gotta also deal with the fact that you're gonna have, coming out right over here, you're gonna have a bunch of pistons like you built that up, and you are gonna have to work this over some, which means basically right here, you're going to have to do the same thing with pushing it down, pushing it over, pushing it up, and then pushing it forward, which is why I say build all your, at least the framework of your blast chambers first. Go build, in this order, these piston walls. You're going to feed it in where it ends up, and then work it with obsidian, and you're going to have to do 1, 2, 3, 4 separate of these orientation changes in order to feed this in the right way. I'm sorry, 5, so that it then starts getting fed into this. To get from over there to up here, you're going to have to flip this thing 5 times with obsidian and these smart piston setups. Make sure it's lined up correctly and take your time. And that is the farm. After that, it's just item. You're going to fill all this in, obviously, with obsidian. You're going to build this 4 times. You're going to build this setup 2 times on both sides. It's harder over here because you have this up higher. You're about to start impacting where the pistons are, and you have to make sure that no redstone signal's getting crossed over. And then, of course, your item collection, I would suggest have a water flow running around the whole thing in the one central collection area. Do not use a hopper chain. This thing is going to make almost 80 to 90,000 items an hour. A double hopper speed cannot keep up with this. Use ice flows. If you didn't know, and if I'm pretty sure you do if you're watching this video, but whenever you have ice make a turn like this, if you set up a chest here, the items will actually sit here and move over just a little bit. And so what you can do is have your hoppers, have all your hopper filters here going, you know, obviously the other way, and then put down fence posts or walls right here, and the items will just skim along enough to get picked up by the hoppers. This thing will make 4,300 shroomlights an hour if you can deal with this level of aggravation, putting these stems in positions. You have to be very particular here with, you know, making sure that you keep all the bone meal fed in this thing. Use an auto crafter of some sort, or unless you just really want to go out and again, good luck fitting all of this in a space. What I ended up doing for mine that I found worked really well, I'll show you real quick. This worked for me for the crafter. There are much better ways to do crafters, I'm sure. But this worked for me, is I had the crafter here. I had a place where I could put a shulker box right there to feed the crafter. And then from there, I had... Nope, that was glass. I had a glass block with a comparator on it. And then I fed it into a solid block going down with a sticky piston. And this isn't the best way to do it, but it works right here. And I had redstone dust. Yeah, I did that. Of course I did that. And then as there's an item in here, it pushes it, that sticky piston out. And then I just used an observer clock because, I mean, I'm sure there are much better ways to do it, honestly, but you know what? It is what it is. And I had this like this. So every time that the system goes and detects that it's got bone blocks in it, watch. It self-regulates. And then as this feeds the entire system, it'll, and once it hits 0, it'll make more. And this way it'll get fed out equally in both directions. Again, when you're initially feeding in your bone meal and you want all this to be full before you do anything, just sit here for a while and let this comparator clock run. Oh yeah, make sure you put a block there so you're not falling. Now, the last thing you're going to do is, of course, you're going to need some kind of system for your dropper. And you can just come out, and then however you want to arrange it. If you're going to run this thing for an hour straight, you will need at least 2 double chests of fungus to keep up. But then this will feed your dropper, and it will go and put you there. And the way that you run the whole thing is, yeah, have a button on your sticky piston. Now, if you notice, I can't do anything. So what you do is you hit the button, sneak mode real quick, and then you can plant. Like this. And I think I used the dropper there, whereas I used a dispenser there, and a dispenser there, and a dispenser there. So that's why that's doing that. So don't use droppers, use dispensers. That's what we've learned here today. Oh, and oh yeah, this thing. It works really well, but getting all this lined up. If you were wanting a properly edited tutorial, go beg your favorite YouTuber to do it. That's it. The end result of all of this madness is going to come down to looking something like this, where the block streams will feed up and in. It'll push them in, blow them up, Item collection is its own thing. I think we're at an hour of this. So, terrible tutorial. The worst one ever for an item that you may not even want that much. I'm gonna go cry now. Old Rusty out.